Some may call it functional alcoholism, but if you know anything about Ben, he's got vision with precision.
Oh. No, go ahead. You're good.
I want to be smart
Perfect.
people
Literally
too.
perfect timing. Literally perfect timing.
Oh, you got new cups.
Yeah.
Every time I'm back, there's like something. The skill. Do you know what I mean? The skill. The class. Dazzle. Well, I'm left-handed, sir, so I know how hard that is.
Yeah.
I'm duly impressed. Impressed.
Oh,
I know you
nice.
did because you love me. That's I will still take that.
I'll take that. I'll use a top off.
It's like when you get the milkshake. Yeah, it's
milkshake.
like when you get the milkshake and you get the extra. Don't waste coffee, bro.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. That's wild.
Let's get this.
You can give me another one. Yeah.
That's my real hug.
Okay.
See?
Thank you.
Don't do that.
And don't do that.
Precision
Don't do
microphones
that like
and
you're
a
working
tinkle
or
of
something.
derision. You're about to hear what beer can
Okay.
be. It's time for Barley
Okay.
and me.
Okay, so when I'm ready, we go 1, 2, 3, and then we clap. Okay. Hi. I'm Liv Monahan. I'm also known as Liv Styler. I am a journalist, teacher, mom, writer, artist, weirdo, rabble-rouser, shit-talker. And I'm here drinking vanilla horchata latte, and I'm going to tell you this is why I drink it soon. Not right now, though.
Yeah, at Broadway Coffee, a.k.a. Classy Hippie, with Ben Rice.
With Ben Rice.
Now,
ladies and
Liv, we have never met.
No.
Yeah, perfect. Great.
No, not
It's
at all.
very fun.
This is always an enjoyment. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is actually, I think this is the first time I've gone on a podcast with someone I don't know personally ahead of, like physically personally
Right.
ahead
Yeah.
of time.
I have dropped things off on your porch.
You have,
But I have
yes.
not met you.
You have not, yes. And you host or co-create or do something schmancy with one of my best friends, Russell Cummings. So I've heard of and know of you through many things.
Right.
But yes, this is the first time in person.
It's very funny. We're in the
Very
we're in the same circles. Never met.
No,
Great
never
job.
met. And I don't even know how I got into comedy circles since I'm not a
It's
comedian.
good. Yeah. Well, you're an artist.
day.
You're an artist, right?
One
So you're
day,
gonna
yeah.
explore other arts, right?
Sure.
There's maybe a show that had a comedian, but it was like an art performance space
Yeah.
or whatever. And they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we're doing
yeah.
a showing for this one artist. By the way, there's a comic.
By the way, there's a comic, or I just end up with a lot of like really funny friends.
Yeah.
And some of them decide to do it on stage. I've gotten lucky
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
So.
all kinds of reasons it can happen. I intermingle in all the arts. It's
Right.
what you do. If you're like
Yeah.
an artist, you're like you appreciate other arts.
Yeah,
right?
especially since Sacramento's art community isn't small, but it's
Right.
very interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, it's very
yeah.
interconnected. So.
Very much so.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have my drinks. And I'm ready. to
Now
be
this drink
grilled.
has a twist.
It does have a twist. It has love.
Okay.
It has love.
That's it.
I mean,
Okay.
it also has other things. The thing about when you ask for a little bit of Leo's love in your drink, you don't actually know what you're getting, and it may not be the same thing every time. So
Okay.
it's really like, what does he feel like you need that day? What is he in the mood for that day? Like,
Yeah.
I just let him play. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I let the
You let the
artists
artist
do their thing. You know, I'm just here to appreciate and enjoy. But anything with horchata, I'm gonna drink as a Mexican. It's just
Yeah,
It's
and
a
as
calling.
not a Mexican, I'm just like, yeah, I'm.
well, your name
it's-
is rice, and it's made
yeah,
out of
it's
rice.
yeah, it's rice milk.
So
yeah,
really, you
yeah.
know,
It's,
and technically, it's North African anyway. But culturally, we just picked up on it somewhere down the road, and somehow it became our drink. I just wanted to throw that out there for the
okay,
record.
yeah, and I'm just refilling myself, right?
There
My
you go.
spirit with
yeah,
the rice
your
milk.
spirit, your soul.
Yeah, it's
your
right in there. Oh,
horchata.
you want to cheers it?
Yeah, cheers it. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
Tink, tink.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
now what do we do?
Oh,
now what do we say?
That's the tough part that we got to figure. We were on a roll before this.
Before the cameras
Before the-
turned on, guys,
the cameras were on.
we were talking
Audio's-
nuclear fission.
Yeah.
There was a lot of problem solving.
Solved word peace.
Cancer.
Solved word peace by creating world crime.
Sure. Oh yeah, the snorkels. I don't.
Oh,
wanna,
yeah.
We won't get too into the snorkels. I don't want to
Check the
spoil,
most
yes.
recent episode.
Yeah, check the most recent episodes for some helpful hints into why snorkeling is an everyday practice we should all be looking into.
Yeah. How it can amplify your life. But
It can amplify your life and your bank accounts in a very unique and creative way.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
get more ATVs at one time, guys.
So, I guess one of my questions would be:
Sure.
so you obviously art is something you probably grew up around, I'm guessing, or how did you stumble into art?
How did I stumble into art? Well, I am from a family who believes art's not so valid in terms of a career or in terms of just things to follow with your life.
Yeah.
So, very kind of not strict upbringing, but immigrant family kind of upbringing where you're supposed to get the degree, become a lawyer,
Yes.
which because I argue so much, they were like,
This is
that's
easy.
her thing. Like, this is going to be her thing.
Yeah.
And I was in the gifted program and all that dumb shit that they say matters. However, I just never really found any of that enjoyable. And to be honest, I probably spitefully joined into anything that had the opposite effect of pride on my parents. So
Yes.
I think I got into art because or writing specifically, which is really where I started and where my career still is today. I got into writing because I felt like I couldn't say what I wanted to say like at home without causing too many issues. So I learned how to just like write it out and kind of just express all of the things that I was feeling. And then it just really started to become more of a creative practice. And I started writing down the things that I saw and all that good old stuff. But I would say spite. Is how I got into the arts.
Youthful rebellion.
Yes, spite is how I got there, but the love of it is how I actually.
And you had an
there.
outlet, and it was like, by the way, it's a creative outlet. Look
It
at
is.
that.
Yeah, it is a creative outlet.
And then it's also now for you a career path.
It is. It became
that's
my accidental career.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is proof positive that the arts does pay, suckers. I actually, despite my best efforts, or my parents' best efforts, I dropped out of high school when I was a senior. Despite the fact that I had been there theoretically all 4 years, I only had a 9th grade education because I skipped so many classes.
Okay.
So I was like, well, this is just at this point pointless. I'm just going to go now because I was 18. So I dropped out and jumped on a train and moved to Colorado and bounced around to a lot of different places with no education formally. So I kind of had to talk my way, write my way, work my way into things. And that was that ability to express myself and to kind of believe in myself enough that if I would get on a train and dip and just hope for the best, that I could probably do anything else. So I actually just got into a lot of different jobs that I probably shouldn't have because I was good at explaining why you should give me the job.
Right.
And so, it became my accidental career in my 30s. Before that, I was in social media marketing, which is still writing, but it's like writing for the soulless.
Yeah.
And no offense to any social media marketing people out
I,
there.
I call it using my gifts for evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's not evil to pay my bills.
Right.
It's evil that I have them. Capitalism. Cheers to you.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
No, and it wasn't evil. I actually worked for a lot of decent companies.
Okay,
I worked for African American Expressions, which is like the Black Hallmark, if anyone knows about it here in Sacramento. I worked for magicians like David Blaine and Chris Angel, doing weird stuff for them.
That's wild.
It was a weird thing.
Yeah.
I worked in social media at MTV when I was in New York a long time ago. So I've gotten a lot of really cool jobs, but I had no real qualifications for any of it other than writing and the ability to do so. But through social media, I started just kind of writing my stuff and being like, hey, this is a weird thing. Why is this happening in Sacramento? I don't really like this. I have a lot of opinions. Or I would just write like the good things that I was seeing, which is what I actually enjoy talking about more. And eventually someone handed me a blog one day. They just were kind of over it. They didn't want to do it anymore, but it had been around for 10 years and it was an underground hip hop blog. And I started here in the community throwing events and stuff like that. So one thing led to another. I took over the blog. I started covering festivals. I actually ended up going kind of viral within the festival scene, got a lot more jobs that way. Quit my real job, decided to become a journalist, and then eventually I wasn't getting paid enough through blogging just because it's naturally not going to pay you a decent amount. So I just called out all the newspapers in Sacramento and said, why am I not writing for you yet? That seems stupid. And it worked. And so I ended up first starting at SNR when they were still in print, Then I was with Submerge. Then I became a writer at Sacramento Bee. Then I became an editor at Sacramento Bee. Then I got blacklisted at Sacramento Bee because I am very opinionated. But I did some good stuff while I was there. And now I'm a freelance journalist who writes nationally, internationally, locally. I'm also on the board for a journalist organization and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, I turned it into a career, but it's really just because I don't shut the fuck up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to take up space. Like, I know I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Why
I'm
are
a big
you?
bitch in very many ways, physically, mentally, vocally, depending on certain aspects, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do like to take up certain space, mostly because we're, especially in like, not the family specifically that I was brought up, but culturally where we were brought up, women aren't really taught to take up a lot of space. We're taught to be very submissive. So I said, I'm going to go the opposite route. That seems like that's not, I don't really like that, you know? So that's how I got here, and that's surprisingly how I'm still here. I've been doing it on my own, like freelance for almost 9 years now.
That's wild.
It is wild.
That's terrifying.
It's horrifying, especially now.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, maybe I should have become a lawyer. Like, they seem busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
seem like they're
busy.
very. My lawyer stays busy, so I know they're busy. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it's a wild. To be fair to not journalists, but journalism, I think it's trash the way that a lot of it works these days.
Yes. There's been a pretty hard pivot.
Yeah, it's and for the viewers at home that couldn't see, my eyes bugged out and rolled. There's a camera. Well, just in case you blinked at that time.
Or you're just listening on the audio, because why would you watch a podcast?
Why would you watch a podcast?
It exists just in case.
I'm fascinating to look at. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Wild West right now, in the sense that there really is no actual. There's just no, I feel like journalism used to be a thing at one point where like that it kind of mattered. Like it really, like they really tried a little bit to get things right, to maybe not be so sensationalized, to not just be clickbait, to not just prey on people's pain and trauma as
and
though it's supposed to. Right.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be, or at least maybe I had an idealized concept of it in my mind, that at one point it wasn't so propaganda-ish. Like it had a hint, had a sprinkle, because how could you not with your mainstream media, but it wasn't like, you couldn't tell that the journalists were physically sniffing the ass of whatever particular party or person they were.
Yeah, and that is this is a question I kind of planned in advance, but I didn't know we'd have it come up, is how hard is it as a journalist when you have to talk to sources, right? You have to talk to people, interview people, knowing that they might not trust you or like want to be a part of what you're doing.
Yes. So that I'm going to this is going to sound a little bit like I'm trying to like be braggy, but I'm not. But it's just my general experience, because of the fact that I didn't get into journalism as a journalist. Like I really didn't come to it in a traditional way. So I didn't get taught these are the stories that are going to get us the most money. I came into it because I wanted to tell the stories that I thought were cool. Like my first story at the Sacramento Bee, long before they thought I was dangerous. That's a quote. My first story for the Bee was about a squatter in downtown Sacramento who had taken an entire building over and turned it into wall-to-wall paintings. There were, from ceiling to floor, furniture, everything. It looked like you would never have to take acid to experience what the trip was like by walking into this space. And I was so fascinated that this person who was in his 60s, definitely had some trauma and had been in the streets for a decent portion of his life, had created this like beautiful space. And it came from someone that no one would normally give credit for being able to do something like that and things of that nature. And I've constantly stuck with telling stories like that, whether my editors were sometimes not the biggest fans of it or I had to fight. You can ask my former editor, Ryan Lillis, shout out to him. I've cussed him out. I've made him cry. He blames a lot of his gray hairs on me.
Nice.
But
You're doing your job.
Yeah, but he did his. Like, he really taught me about a lot of stuff. But in the grand scheme, because I came at it in an untraditional space and I built my reputation and my connections with my community long before I became an actual writer, I don't typically have that sort of immediate wall come up. In fact, a lot of times, because I'm telling stories from my communities, I tend to have the opposite. Yeah. I don't want to go into communities where I don't have my own, at least general experience within that community and say I'm the person that should be talking about what's going on in your life. Because I shouldn't.
Right.
And more journalists should be taking the responsibility to say, yo, I literally have no idea about anything that I'm walking into right now. Maybe I'm not the one to tell this story.
Right.
But it's hard to do when money is money and bills
money's
are
money,
bills.
and the people, they want a quality product. Like, we can't trust somebody from this area to do a good job, even though you fucking can.
Well, you can.
You have to encourage.
Yeah,
it.
You can trust people from the community to tell their stories actually a lot better than most unknowledgeable journalists would be able to, because what most journalists consider objective is actually just callous and crass. Because they don't put a humanization to a lot of the things that they're saying. They really tend to look at people as a business. Whereas people are the point of the story. And
also directly impacted by the story. So maybe pretend that they exist when writing it for them. Right?
Yeah, and that there's going to be a ripple effect of what you say that doesn't disappear just because the story's done the next day. Like, what you say can impact people for years, decades to come. And sometimes when we talk about things like, hey, maybe you should have waited and actually gotten the full story before you tell a story and jumped the gun, a lot of times when we do find out more information, those initial sensationalized big things that become viral and get stuck in everybody's head never get corrected. Never. So 30, 40 years later, people still think certain things about a case in history that has actually no relevance or merit. Or sometimes a person's mugshot comes up in a suspected crime and it turns out that they weren't guilty, but the fucking mugshot, and that's the first thing that pops up in their Google search when they're trying to get a job. Like, it can be difficult because that is a position that a good portion of journalists, mainstream media, and just the general concept of the kind of way that we handle stories can be. A lot of sources will shut down on people, but good. Fuck those people. They shouldn't be telling the stories in the first place anyway, so shut them down and don't talk to their asses. Kick them out of the protest. Do what you got to do. Like, I'm with it. You need the umbrellas to block the press? I got you. I'm with it. Like, but because of that, I've had an opportunity to not only, like, be able to tell the kind of stories that I think are important, but have the sources trust me enough to do it and trust me enough to fight if someone tries to change the way that the story is being written because of editing or whatever, which I will. And so I think that's been a big thing. Like, for example, when there was the case of Willie Brown that happened here in Sacramento, this was years ago now, it feels like probably 5 or 6, but there was a man who was found hanging from a basketball court in South Sacramento. And the circumstances of the death were extremely suspicious, and it scientifically, logically didn't make sense for him to have gotten up there with nothing else around him, no ladder, no whatever. But it was being very much treated as a suicide. And the family knew that they needed to get the story out, but they also knew that it wasn't going to be treated the right way. And I was the only journalist that they inevitably would talk to, because I knew the family, first, because I was literally on front lines with them years before that, but just happened to now be a journalist. So I think education is whatever. Obviously, I'm a dropout, so I can't be like, education's important, because I clearly didn't value it. However, as a parent who now has 2 children in college, I do believe, like, hey, if that's the route, it's never bad to have a backup, even if you decide to be an artist, panhandling, busking, whatever you want to do, I don't care. But it doesn't hurt to have that because other people view it as something. However, when you, as a journalist, go through the very traditional education and the very traditional route of journalism, it can really, I think, take you out of a big perspective that you're missing. And I think it's going to really limit like the people being willing to speak to you because you're coming from a place that they don't understand, and they're coming from a place that they're not going to understand.
Yeah, and like I get the idea that you're going to come in like I'm going to pretend like I'm ignorant to this, right? But like you're not, or you are, and both of those are problems. If you're going to pretend that it's like this idea that you're unbiased,
right? I think the idea of objectivity is bullshit when it comes to journalism. I don't think unless the fucking Buddha is coming down and telling the story because he understands duality.
It's always going to have
you're
subjectivity.
You're going to be seated with some sort of opinion. I'm extremely biased against certain things. Right. I will never write a story that's pro-police. Like I would never. You know what I mean? Like there are certain things that my biases and my positions.
And then you go, not the story for me.
No,
just
absolutely.
Not
and
the story
no one would even
I will if you're doing a point
it.
counterpoint. I don't mind if I do.
No one would suggest it either because everyone knows that by now. But yeah, I do think that doesn't exist, and I think telling stories like those are even more important. And when sources are like, I don't trust you to tell the story, that's another way that you know how important the story it is to tell.
Yes.
And so as journalists, if you consider yourself a storyteller, which I do, and is ancestrally a responsibility, you have to work harder to be trustworthy of the communities that you're going to be working with if you're not from those communities, and B, step out when it's not your place, and be okay with stepping out and knowing that that's not you being like, I'm not a good enough writer to do this or whatever. It just means that, hey, there might be somebody that can treat these people a little bit differently or get the story out in a more effective way. Yeah. And I think that that's hard for a lot of people, especially now. Everyone's getting laid off.
Yeah.
The freelance pool is
no money.
As full of piss as the dating pool. Yeah. Like there's it's
just
a lot.
Slog.
It's hard to survive as a freelance journalist. It's been hard for the last 8 years, but it's definitely harder now.
Yeah, but it seems like you're always making a new connection, always making a new connection, always making a new connection. That's going to help sustain, right?
Yes.
But it's still not, there's no guarantees. They can all go away. They can lose their authority. Like, winds of time are ever shifting.
Editors that you connect with get laid off.
Yeah, find a new job,
management,
whatever.
All that kind of stuff. And so because of that, I've never just done, like, even when I've been this is my career, I'm a journalist. Like, I'm still not just a journalist. I still teach. I have an art installation in San Francisco coming up in November.
Like exactly when and exactly where?
Exactly when and exactly where is a great question. Exactly when, I don't know the opening date yet. It's a Dia de los Muertos exhibit, so typically it's going to start somewhere between October 31st and November 2nd. It's at SOMA Arts and Cultural Center. The curators are Rio Yanez, who is the son of Rene Yanez, who is a wonderful artist and Chicano activist in the San Francisco Bay Area, who originally started this exhibit decades ago, and it's such an honor. We also have a local Sacramento curator who is co-curating with Rio.
Hell yeah.
Her name is Bridget Rex. She's also fucking amazing. I've worked with her before. Mm-hmm. She had a piece of mine hanging in Sacramento City Hall last year, which is super ironic because I've been kicked out of that place many times. But yeah, it's I've never, maybe because I've always had to hustle, because I don't have the education, because I've had to always like prove myself a little bit more. I've always got like 4 things where I'm like, okay, I also have to do this so I can make money for that, so I can go and do this, so I can, So yeah, I do everything just to kind of make sure that I can still survive as a journalist. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of pots going.
A lot of pots, yeah.
And also, I would like to just add, no formal education, or been a little formal education. You are always learning. You're always getting an education somewhere.
Correct. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You're teaching, so you clearly know something.
Yeah. No. Right. And to say that I have like no education, like I have a 9th grade education in terms of paperwork. But to be fair, when I was skipping, I literally went to the library just because I was reading the stuff I wanted to read. Yeah. Or I was at Tower with the headphones on. Shout out Tower. Rest in peace. Yeah. Learning about music. Or I went up to Sac City, snuck into classes, and then went and played chess at the cafe. Like, I was a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
it wasn't like I was skipping, like, party. Like, I did all that, too. Yeah. But I still learn.
Many pots.
Yeah, lots of pots. Yeah. Pots got me through a lot of things over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, like I got all the way to college for a whole year.
There you go.
And I sat down with my whatever they're called, counselor, yeah, whatever. And I switched majors like twice. And I went to creative writing. First, because I liked writing, but second, because it was the fewest credits you needed to graduate. I think because they wanted you to go to other things to learn stuff so you could write. And he's like, hey, I've been reading the papers you've been submitting in your classes. We're not going to teach you anything you don't already know. Yeah. We're just going to make you do it.
Right.
And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. Also, I can't afford it, so I'm going to go.
So what's the point, really? Yeah, absolutely.
And then I immediately stopped writing, like a genius would do. And
as is the way.
But
that's how it usually works.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't write for a really long time after having kids. Like, there was no time for that. Yeah. But eventually, they grew up and stopped bothering me as much. Shout out to the children.
Yeah.
And then I got a chance to get back into it.
Yeah.
But education is whatever you decide to educate yourself with, whether it's self-imposed. If Abraham Lincoln can do it, goddamn it, so can I.
Yeah.
He was super smart.
Now, we do have to go soon, so I wanted to run this by you. We have two paths we can take, whatever path you want to go on, or we can talk about why it is that newspapers are not doing what they need to do because of the new form of capitalism wherein advertising revenue does not really exist for them anymore, and they are struggling to find out how to finance themselves. Which one do you want to do?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, wow.
We were dancing around it.
I know, we were. I mean, you seem like that was a very well thought out concept. So, I would be remiss to not go down that path.
And that's the end of it. They are struggling to find out how to finance after advertisers bailed out because there's no paper product. It's not normal to have a newspaper delivered to your home. Right. And we are all immune to online advertising. Yeah. So how do you have no value to the advertisers. Right. How do you make money? You can't sell your paper product and no one's paying for a subscription when they can get it for free somewhere else.
So,
done more poorly.
Right. Yeah. So oftentimes. The smartest thing for newspapers, in my mind, would be to stop acting like those folks who are doing all the independent work aren't doing the right thing and just don't have the budget. Like, if you want people to start buying your newspapers again, start treating the news as though it's something to be dissected, analyzed, learned from. It's something to be treated with care. It's not something that's paid for by whoever the fuck it is that happens to pay for whatever hedge fund actually owns your newspaper, Sacramento Bee.
Washington Post.
Any of the real ones anything that's owned by the fucking McClatchy Corporation, anything that's probably owned by Hearst at this point. I don't know where Warren Buffett is right now, but he's probably... Anyway, my point is, the news has now just basically become the biggest advertisement for whatever propaganda machine is paying it.
Yes.
And if the news actually wants to sell newspapers again, try using the actual thing that you're supposed to be doing, which is telling real stories, you dumb fucks. Like, it's really not that hard. You remember
the news is for your constituents, your
right.
readers. It's for your readers. It's not for your advertisers.
Right. Look back. Like, if you really want to know what you guys should be doing as newspapers, I suggest going to newspapers.com and looking at any newspaper from between 1963 to 1978 when they actually dissected and analyzed the huge pictures of global change that were going on a massive scale at the time. And they weren't just doing it because they were paid for by whatever fucking corporate shill they were paid for. They were actually telling the fucking news. That's how you sell a newspaper. You actually do your job. That would be helpful. Do your
actually
fucking
care,
job.
Because people can tell when you don't.
Do your job.
They can tell when you don't.
Use that big fancy degree that you got and do your job, and then you'll sell a paper. Hire people who actually want to tell the stories that are important and not just repeat the same stories over and over again because they're trending at the time. We get it. There's a possible nuclear war. What the fuck else is going on? Because I know there's a lot of other shit going on right now. And until we actually go to war, can we talk about something else?
Yeah.
It's just there's so many things. And we only focus on the most fear-mongering, the most...
Because it gets the eyeballs.
Because it gets the eyeballs, because
but you're
it gets
still not
the
getting
comments.
money, because they're still not clicking your goddamn ads.
I've clicked many an article this week, and I've paid not one subscription.
Yeah.
And most of us know how to get around all that.
Yeah.
Your firewalls aren't that great.
Yeah.
So, it's really just about actually going back to what the news was intended to be, and I don't mean like intended because of the fact that it's built on the idea of systemic racism and considering the media at the time when it was originally built was only white people and had nothing to do with the communities of culture or color that were relevant and prevalent at the time, which is pretty much exactly what's happening right now. So realistically, it's just history repeating itself. So maybe you should stop doing the same fucking thing that you always do and try something a little bit different.
Because the access to the journalistic world is still through the college system, which is still... Anyway,
this is why I drink horchata lattes. Because it really gets me riled up. It seems simple, but it's when you're indoctrinated and under the thumb of capitalism, people get real dumb. And the simple can become extremely complex, but it doesn't have to be. Just blink and bear through it and tell the actual news and do your actual job. And I bet you see people actually subscribing to your paper. I know when I worked at the Bee, subscriptions went up. I know they went down when I got blacklisted. Do your fucking jobs. Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah. And then, if there's one thing that a company's going to do, it's going to be fear change.
Right.
Even when all the data says you should.
Yeah. No.
And that what you're currently doing is not working.
Right. Change is legitimately the only thing that's constant besides death. So and even death is change. So really, it's just change.
Yeah.
So just change, weirdos.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you took the wrong lesson, but at least you're not stuck in a loop that is not helping.
And that's the other thing. Change takes more than 6 months of an implication of a policy. So, you can't pull a token DEI, whatever, equity funding. We're going to make journalism about the community. You can't do that for 6 months worth of a grant and go, well...
Didn't work.
I think it didn't, whatever. We're just going to let it go after that. Change is constant, but being able to adapt and grow and evolve with that change takes time, it takes patience, it takes effort, and it's not always going to get you a million clicks.
Yeah.
But considering they don't translate to your money anyway, you might as well take the risk and actually make the effort.
And stand with conviction maybe and courage, just a little bit. Yeah, we have war correspondents. Courage is part of the job.
Right.
Why can't the people that are on the top be like, I also have bravery in my heart.
Right. And for all the people that are like, they're shooting journalists now, just be happy that the journalists are actually finally getting close enough to get fucking shot. Because how were they telling the stories when they were so far away from the fucking front lines that they had no idea what was happening in the first place? So shout out to the journalists getting shot. Not so much the cops that are shooting them.
Yeah. We wish it wasn't happening, but at least the risk is there.
Yeah, again. Absolutely. I've got battle scars from many a thing, many a toxic and many a bullet and many a thing. And that's where you're supposed to be if you're actually going to tell the stories. If you're not, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm annoying and opinionated.
Yeah. That's just me. Liv Monahan drinking a
horchata latte with a side of Leo Love at Classie Hippie, a.k.a. Broadway Coffee, a.k.a. the only spot that I will usually go out in public for, a.k.a. my favorite place in Oak Park to be, unless it's at the Shakur Center down the street.
All right, I think, like I said, I have no outro to this, but I do have to leave.
Okay, that's a good outro.
I have to leave.
Yeah, I have to leave.
I'm going to go find something to drink that's not this. No, I also, the Broadway Coffee, incredible. So glad it's here.
Yeah.
I don't get here nearly enough. When I was, sorry, I don't know how to end things.
See, he said he had to leave, and yet he stays.
I don't know how to.
That is the effect I have on people.
This is the effect that I have on myself.
Glue, you know what I mean?
I don't know how to leave a conversation.
It's fine. I'm
like, that reminds me of a story. Fuck.
Right.
Ah, damn it.
I'm an Irish goodbye person, but I guess you can't really do that with equipment. So if you want to be like,
I have to leave.
Irish goodbye.
Hey, thanks for whatever you were doing.
Yeah.
If you're at your office.
Yeah.
Writing the next great journalistic piece.
Sure.
Or sleeping. I don't care. Thanks for listening or watching. I don't know why you're watching. Bye. It's great.